we're going to be looking at the chart now for this new week. Now last week was something else, right? So we told you guys this was the level we're going to be majorly looking out for. As you can see, as the week open, prices ripped through this first level right here, and I told you guys that that level might definitely not hold, right? And so we looked at this other level, which is around close to the 76% level right here. Okay, and as you can see, this was the thing we marked out, and price came into this level, in fact really dropped down. So if you're going to enter here, probably your stop should have been somewhere around here. So you can see that this would have been a wide distance, except you entered really quite down here. But anyway, um let's see. Now this week I'm going to be very fast with it, because I would rather advise that you don't trade this week. You just wait for the month to close. So because the month is going to be closing by Wednesday, Thursday or so, and after that we'll now know what next we can actually do, right? Because right now price is looking a little bit off, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't still get a trade. You can, but I'll just advise that you stay away from the charts and just wait for the month to close. But either way, let me just show you what I'm seeing. All right, so looking at the charts, let's do the top down analysis. Let's start from the monthly time frame, so you see things really good. Now looking at the monthly, we can see clearly that gold is still very much bullish, right? But we can see this red bearish candle that closed like an engulfing bearish candle, and so we're in the month of April, and as you can see, gold, the candle is still green, right? But if price drops further down and closes red, and the month closes red bearish, that's gonna let us, that means something, right? But if it closes green, it means that we might actually see ourselves getting up to 5,000 before we actually start dropping again, because like I said earlier, we most likely should get to 5,000 and then drop. But if the month of April closes red, then the likelihood of us getting to 5,000 might no longer be possible, right? So that's just what I'm saying. That's why I say I think you should wait for the month to close, so we'll now decide what next. Now let's go to the weekly. Now looking at the weekly, we're seeing the same thing. You can see this week candle closed red, so that's not so good. So it's giving us the indication that gold might want to actually drop further down. But if you go to a lower time frame, you'll see something a little bit different, and so that's why it's giving this mixed feeling, and that's why I'd advise that you just stay away from the charts for now. All right, so let's go to the daily. Now we're not going to mark anything, whether the weekly fib of the 50% weekly fib of this, because there's no need for that, because price is giving us some double this thing. But we can just mark this level out. Let's just mark that out, so when we get there we'll see that's still around the 50 fib, right? Let's go to the daily. Now looking at the daily, we can now see this. We can see that gold is moving sideways for the longest possible time, right? It's just been moving sideways in this entire box right here, and you can see this day closed green. So like I said, what can you do here? Now you either wait for price to go above this level, which is 4743 level, break above it, and then you can now look for buying opportunities to ride it up to 5,000. But if gold breaks below 4650 level, or 4670 60 level, right, then you probably will be looking for sales downwards to 4,500 thereabout. All right, so that's why I said, so those are the two scenarios, right? Let's go down to the 4 hour. Let's see what things are looking like there. So looking at the 4 hour, we can see, like I said, you could either wait for price to, and you can see there's some sort of inverse heads and shoulders, and you can also see a heads and shoulders. Now if you took the sales, good for you. All right, so we could see something like this, a heads and shoulders forming. Let me put that up, something of this nature. All right, so something of that nature, but I would have said, okay, let's put this here. Okay, so something of this nature. So price could come back. If that's why I say, if price breaks above this level, then we'll most likely will see price come back into this level, and then you can now get in for your buys. All right, so but if price breaks lower, if you see price breaks lower, then you're going to be looking for sales to at least 4,500, right? So that's just what you should be keeping an eye on. Either price breaks lower or price breaks higher. So that's it, guys. That's just what I think. That's what I think you should be looking out for. So either this, so this is the scenario we get ourselves in right now. Let's go to the 1 hour. Let's see what things are looking like. So it's the same thing. All right, it's the same thing. You can see there's this head and shoulders that form right here. So if you took this buy, you probably would have, you know, taken the buy from here and then be in the straight. All right, but like I said, price could actually drop and break lower. But if price doesn't do that, we might see price break above this headline, this neckline right here. There's this other one. So if price happens to break higher, like I said, then you can now wait for price to come back down and then you buy. So this is going to be your next neckline right here. Okay, so you could wait for price to come into that zone and then you get in for your buys from there. So I think this is just what I'm looking for. You could be looking for buys, or you could wait for price to break lower and then you sell. So just trade safely. All right, so guys, that's it. I do hope we all have a wonderful trading week. Like I said, this is going to be very short because there's really nothing much here. And don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share with others, and let me know in the comment section what you're going to be looking out for. That's it, guys. Peace.